Alright, welcome to the Total Stickcast. My name's Paul Johnson. I'm a freelance writer, author, vlogger, and I do some other stuff too. You can head on over to everythingpaul.net to learn a little bit more about all that. And with me, as always, he has eyes, a nose, and odd feelings about Cadbury cream eggs. It's Ryan Blair.
Woo, yeah! I don't want to talk about the eggs again because I'm still sick in my stomach.
Okay, fair enough. But that's okay, because you didn't come here to hear us, did you? This week we're joined by podcaster extraordinaire. He's host of a load of BS, Fight Boys, Opposite Attractions, and Fun Fiction. In fact, he's probably hosting another podcast right now and we can't even tell. It's Scottye Moore!
What's up? Yeah, I've actually just been I'm muting this microphone and recording a second podcast next to me right now.
Does not surprise me at all. You are a busy man. So that's exactly what I'll do right now. I'll give you a second to tell us a little bit about who is the Scottye Moore.
Well, firstly, thank you. The is a very important part of my name.
Of course, yeah. I think you were knighted 4 years ago, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It was a good meeting with the Queen. We went out for drinks. I took her to a Dave & Buster's later. She had never been, but she had very much enjoyed it. She won very many tickets. Hi, I'm Scottye Moore. I do podcasts. I've done it for about 3 years. I started back in a small apartment in Kissimmee, Florida with my buddy Blake and a garbage microphone. And now I'm in a slightly larger apartment, still doing it with a better microphone.
Those are goals, man. You gotta have dreams.
Yeah, living the dream. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, no doubt.
Is it bad? Like, back when I was a child, I remember getting excited for like, oh yeah, I'm going to WrestleMania this weekend. Now I'm just excited for like, ooh, I got a mute button for my microphone, so when I cough, no one will have to listen to it.
It's all about the tech.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. And getting a new microphone doesn't, require, going and siphoning through a stadium and all that kind of stuff either. You don't got to find parking to do that. It's so much better.
I love it too much to agree with you, because that's
okay.
That's the thing. My girlfriend thinks I'm insane because she's like, how do you enjoy driving in Atlanta traffic or Orlando traffic? I'm like, it's just my jam. I'll pop on a podcast and be like, we'll get there eventually.
That's a good way to be, though. I mean, everybody's always such in a rush to get nowhere, so what the hell? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome, though. So, okay, I guess then that's as good a place to start as any, because you happen to have a podcast all about wrestling, in fact. And that's the Fight Boys, right?
Yes, the Fight Boys show. It's about professional and also not so professional wrestling.
That sounds like it has painful stories.
Okay, here's what had happened. When I was in college, me and my co-host Blake used to play WWE 2K15, and we would sit there and play and make. We wouldn't even play the game. We'd just be like, okay, now let's make our English teacher. And this is what they look like. Let's make our acting teacher. And we just kept making characters. And then one day, we invited a girl over, which was a mistake. Because I was like, come on over, we'll play the WWE game. And because I'm a man of ambition, I went, oh, wait a minute, she won't enjoy the character creation system. But there was also a mode in the game called create a story, where you could set up literally like matches, write interviews and all that. So from that, I made like an entire 3 months of programming in wrestling in a video game. Yeah, and so eventually it got to a point where I knew I wanted to do a pro wrestling podcast because me and Blake were talking too much about wrestling on a load of BS, and I'm like, we need to take this somewhere else. So we started Fight Boys, where half of the show is talking like normal wrestling, is talking WWE, talking like New Japan and all that, but the other half of it is basically cutting to a fake wrestling promotion based in Birmingham, Alabama, that I write out interviews for, I write out matches for, and then every month we have a pay-per-view opposite a WWE pay-per-view and we make it in WWE 2K19 at this point.
Okay.
It's a lot, dude.
Dear God, man. again, I'll remind you of my earlier comments. You're a busy, busy man. My God.
I mean, I will say, like, right before this, I was editing one show about WWE after I just got done making the pay-per-view that's supposed to be out this Sunday. It's insane.
You either always know the date or you never know what day it is. One of those two.
Yeah, this one was bad because, this is gonna get, like, slightly nerdy wrestling, but, like, they had a pay-per-view 3 weeks ago, they're having another one this Sunday, and me, as the man controlling all the strings behind, was just like, how am I supposed to build up all these matches in that time? No one's gonna understand.
And you don't even have the element of humans that you've got to get out there.
Yeah, I've got 3. I've got me and my 2 co-hosts, and from that we have a roster of like 30 wrestlers at this point.
Wow. All right. I think I got to spend a little more time listening to that, but I'll tell you, doing due diligence, if you will, researching you is quite a task with all the different things you have on the go. So I haven't got a chance to really go through the Fight Boys catalog that well, but that's interesting. I at least was into professional wrestling when I was a little kid and I was a little bit younger. So I always there's a nostalgic thing about it for me. Yeah.
Fun fact, that's what everyone ever says about pro wrestling.
Well, I'm that unique.
I liked that when I was a child, and I'm like, well, this is one of the things that I base my career off of, but it's cool. No,
well, that's okay though. That's because, like I said, it makes me feel nostalgic. Without that, it wouldn't be. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to downplay what you do in any way.
No, you're good, man. Well, my favorite thing about it is the fact that you can really, since it's in a video game, you can indulge and not have to base it in reality and realize that a human has to be controlling them. So one of my favorite characters we've created for a second wrestling show I do called Developmentally Unstable. It's a show similar. Have you ever heard of the show Monster Factory?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
It's essentially 2 brothers making horrific visions in character creation systems. We do that, but exclusively in WWE 2K19, and we made a character who could not exist in real life, I will say. He is 7 foot tall. His bones are basically made of, like, brittle. He's the thinnest thing on the planet, and he's called the Jebadook, and he is the illegitimate son of the Babadook, and he's the worst thing we've ever made.
Oh God. Okay, he sounds like a mutant.
Yes, he's pretty rough. We had him he used to come down to the ring like a zombie and attack a cameraman every single time. They were like, we need to change that. We're out of cameramen.
There's just a field of them growing somewhere. Just go out and harvest the cameramen.
Yeah. It's kind of like the end of was it The Illusionist? We're at the end of... No, The Prestige. That's The Prestige all along. It's the fact that we had to harvest all of our cameramen.
There we go.
You know, wrestling was never anything that I really got into. I did go through a phase. My uncle was actually a wrestler. They at one point they had, you know, and I'm sure they still do it. I mean, it's not WWE, but they have, they have like the traveling wrestling shows. And at the time, I was about 8-9 years old, and I lived in a small northern community, very remote, and about 2,000 people lived there. And so the show came up to the town I was living in. And so my uncle was in it, and so I was kind of a bit of a celebrity for a week or so because my uncle was a wrestler, Puppy Dog Peliquin.
Okay, I was gonna ask the name just so I couldn't be like, I've met him before. But...
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, I mean, and you know, I mean, I think like Paul said, I think, you know, I spent a moment or two as a youngin watching when it was WWF, but you know what, I don't recall that I was actually even, like, I just didn't watch a lot of TV. I wasn't allowed, right?
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, I never really had the opportunity, because again, I lived from the age of 8 to 12. I lived in a small, remote community that, you know, there is no cable. There's no
Right.
there's no TV. I mean, we watched movies, right? And that was about it, if I recall, right? So, we didn't. It's not like we, it's not like we had a whole lot of choices of programming.
Right.
Yeah.
See, with me, it's just like the closest thing you can get to real life superheroes at some point. Just because, I remember watching it as a kid and seeing, Kevin Nash, who was this 7-foot terrifying beast of a man. And I'm like, oh, we've got the Incredible Hulk. And then you have someone like Rey Mysterio come out and he's bouncing around. He's like Spider-Man. John Cena's obviously Captain America. There's so many, people who love comic books then say, wrestling's fake. I'm like, it's the same thing as what you're watching right now.
Yeah. Dude, I played so much WCW NWO Thunder.
Oh, that's the game, son.
That is the game. Yeah. So you're talking about Rey Mysterio, you're talking about Kevin Nash, you got, Razor Ramon, all these people freaking, yeah, totally. That was my time in wrestling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm at a point now where I have an infinite amount of knowledge about wrestling to a point where the other day we were riding home and it was just a song came on the radio and my buddy goes wasn't this on a WrestleMania? And I'm like, yes, it was WrestleMania 27, which was in Atlanta. The main event was The Miz versus John Cena, and The Rock interfered at the end. And he's just like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Dear God. Well, you've got to have an infinite amount of information about a lot of things, though. Because, that's just one show that you have.
Yeah.
Focuses around wrestling. So that came kind of out of the fact that you were talking about it too much on A Load of BS, right?
Yes.
That's what she said. So is that kind of what happened with everything, with the other ones as well, with the other two as well, was just, you were just talking so much about it, it needed its own spin-off?
Well, not really, because Blake's only on Fight Boys and A Load of BS. Opposite Attractions came from the fact that my buddy Jim, he used to do a show called A Horrible Premise. It was a fantastic show. It was a game show, and basically you'd have contestants come on. He'd give them a title of a TV show and 3 keywords, and then in 5 minutes you had to come up with a pitch for that show. And it always got kind of weird and buck wild. The problem is he couldn't keep getting guests, so that show kind of fizzled out. He wanted a new show that he could have more consistency with, and me and him are both huge fans of Disney, and I believe a lot in the rule that if you're going to start a podcast, you A, need to have someone that you're good at talking with, and B, somebody that you can talk about a certain subject with for hours at the time. And so for me and him, that was theme parks, whether it be Disney World, because, I lived in Orlando for a few, or Universal Studios and stuff like that. But every show I do, I kind of like to add an element of creation to it. A Load of BS is all about us brainstorming about things. Fight Boys has JWF, which is very creative. And so I was like, how do we take theme parks and make it creative? And we came up upon the idea of why not we build our own theme park, and every week we have to come up with new rides for it. And it's never intelligent. It's not like, well, the track will be based like this, and here's the ride vehicle. Instead, it's just I don't know, what if there's a flaming llama that attacks them, and then the car starts running away, and then it comes out of a volcano?
Flaming Llama episode title.
I can't remember. It was I believe in season 1 where we had a theme park that was all based around superheroes. And surprisingly, Jim brought that to the table, which surprised me because the whole reason we call it Opposite Attractions is I'm the one who's a screaming idiot who just kind of brings whatever and throws it up on the table. Jim actually thinks about it and is very analytical and serious, so Opposite Attractions. That's where that name came from.
I would love to see a flaming llama running down the street.
That sounds like if you remember Weebly, was it Weebly's World back in the 05s? That old Flash website? That sounds like a song that would have been on that.
All I can think of is E-Bomb's World.
I was pretty much drunk between 95 and 2015. So, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So things are a little hazy, a little fuzzy for me.
Mm-hmm. That's how I am with my entire stint of living in Orlando.
I've been to Orlando.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
It'll destroy a man very quickly.
I was there for An hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I was just
That
driving.
hardly
I guess no. I guess I was there longer than that. I was in Miami, in South Beach, and
Yeah.
I was driving to the Keys. So we stopped for nachos at the Hard Rock Cafe at Universal.
Yes.
And then there was also a different mall. I don't recall what it was, but I collect Hard Rock shot glasses.
Yeah.
So there was 2 Hard Rocks, one in Universal and then one at a mall, I believe. I think. I can't remember. I remember walking around the mall looking for it, and I don't recall if I found it or not. But I definitely got my shot glass from Universal, and I got one from the Keys as well. So
That's good.
That was a good time. But nachos are always a thing. When I lived in Toronto, there's a Hard Rock in the what's now called the Rogers Centre, where all the Blue Jays play, and they have all the events and stuff like that. And there's a Hard Rock, or was a Hard Rock in there. Maybe it still is. I know there was 2 in Toronto and one closed. But then we would just go and eat nachos and drink beer and watch monster trucks, because the windows faced the inside of the stadium, so we would watch, whatever was happening in Jay's game or monster trucks or something like that. But so nachos was always a thing at the Hard Rock. So yeah, you're in the States, you're in Florida, so got to stop at Universal, right?
Yep.
And of course there's a Hard Rock in there, so it was nacho time.
I'm happy you said you were from Toronto, because I'm an accent geek. Like,
Okay.
I'll notice small things in people's accents, and the whole time you've been talking, all I can think is Canada. How do I ask him if he's from Canada? Because it's there. It's there.
Yeah. I'm definitely Canadian, and I've, I thought you were going to say I sound like somebody from Toronto, and it was funny. I grew up in a different province, and when I moved to Toronto, I had people tell me I had an accent from that province, and I just thought, you know what? In Canada, I think the only 2 provinces of people that I guess I've met from wherever in Canada was Quebec, the French, and then the East Coast, where it's Newfoundland and Nova Scotia and stuff, where it's it's kind of a heavily influenced Celtic region of Canada, and so you've got sort of a guttural Celtic accent from a lot of them, and but short of that, I mean, from any other province, I don't think I've ever heard something. Hey, you're from there, aren't you? And no, I mean, so it was really strange for me to hear that, and even a lot of American accents, like I can pick out some of them, but then there's I go to North Dakota or something, and they don't sound any different than anybody in Canada.
Yeah.
Right, but of
It
course
all
in
depends,
Texas
to an
or
extent.
Kentucky or southern states and what have you, New York, Boston, right? I mean, Boston was I think probably one of the first places that I had been in the U.S. years and years and years ago, and it was just like, you talk funny.
Yeah, well, and there's some places too, there's so much of it with languages, like the dialect and stuff like that gives it away too, and the way certain words are used and stuff like that too, and yeah, for sure. Yeah, sorry, we got kind of off on a tangent there and got
Which
me a
we
little bit
do.
lost.
Welcome
Fun
to the
Fiction,
Stickcast.
that's the
Oh,
other
no.
show that, yeah.
Is it bad? I had 2 separate tangents I could have went on based on your Hard Rock story, and I was like, shit, which road do I take?
This is our eternal struggle here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a tangent. It's a working tangent. So, okay, go ahead. I want you to bless us with your Hard Rock story. Hit
It's just a matter of, talking about being drunk for that 10-year period, the Hard Rock can kill a man, because they have a drink that they make in like one of those coffee presses with like berries and shit in the bottom of it. I should have asked if we could swear before this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like a fucking trucker.
Oh hell
Yeah.
yes. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually happy when I was doing recon for you that you swear openly on your shows, because sometimes people don't. I don't know if they'll swear on another show. I don't know, and I don't like if I ask it. I feel like I'm 12. Like, do you use the naughty words too?
Do you say bad words?
Yeah, I know you can swear. You're fucking hard out here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. But no, they've got a drink that's made in a coffee press, and it's supposed to be 4 cocktails to spread around.
Oh.
Okay.
They don't impose that rule, however, so you can just down the whole thing yourself, and it'll get you where you need to go.
You know, and that's funny that story brings me to a story. I had this could just be going around in a circle all day. I had a buddy who spent about 6 weeks or so in Thailand, and he told me about these drinks that are popular in a region, you know, a touristy region, and I believe it was called the Bucket.
Okay.
Something to that effect, and it was an actual bucket, and so they filled it full of ice. It was a Mickey of whiskey, so about half a liter of whiskey, and 1 can of Coke and 1 can of Red Bull, and it's just poured into this bucket, and you drink it. And he says after one of them, he says you're lucky if you remember the night.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So he says that, you know, and he said they were like, I don't know, $2.50 or something, some $2 or something. I'm like, I'm moving to Thailand. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What is the quality of whiskey they used in that? That's just rubbing alcohol, I think.
Who cares?
Yeah, right.
Who cares? No,
It's
but you
gotta
know
be
what? The
healthier.
prices, the things he told me about his trip out there were ridiculous. Like he said something like 20, 25 of them sat down at a restaurant and they just had this big table, big spread of food. Like there was no real kind of menu. It was just a bunch of food was brought, and they sat there and they drank alcohol and they ate all this food. They walked out hammered and full, and he said it cost them probably about $2.50 per person. Right? He said,
Good God.
Yeah. He says this is why people. He says, you know, people go out there and they spend their $1,500 on airfare or whatever. He says, but you know, you spend next to nothing when you're out there because everything is just so ridiculously inexpensive.
Yeah. They have a drink similar to the Bucket at a place called Splitsville. It's at Disney Springs, which is part of Disney, but you don't have to pay to get in. And it's literally just like a bowl. Like a big-ass bowl you'd put popcorn in, and you could put any drink you want. Like, I think I got a Long Island iced tea in it, and that was a mistake.
It would be, yeah. Jeez, I haven't had one of those in years, but I remember a few.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't remember a few nights drinking those.
Yeah. With me, I've realized if I can drink one Long Island, I'll be fine. But if I drink the ingredients to a Long Island iced tea through different drinks, I'm gonna have a bad night.
Yeah.
I have to walk up and be like, okay, I've had a whiskey, I've had rum in something, I've had tequila, I can't keep going, I can't have the rest.
No, that's not a good way. That is not how alcohol was meant to be used. No.
Yeah, it was meant to cure wounds, but instead we decided to drink it.
Yeah, pretty much. And a Long Island iced tea was meant to euthanize you if the wounds got too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, you know, and I don't know, like, you know, everybody sits there from time to time and thinks about these moments where, at what point in history, in that exact moment, was that one particular person thinking, this would be a good idea to eat this, to drink this, to put these two things together, you know, and I can't say as I'm overly disappointed about the guy who decided to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, but there's things that I still am quite quizzical about. One, why did somebody think it was a good idea to put nipples on mannequins? Right?
Okay.
I would have loved to have
very
been
random beef to take up.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that board meeting where the guy's just like, so I've got an idea. I know it sounds out there, but
do male mannequins have nipples?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you still see them without nipples, but both genders. But I'm still waiting for the guy to go to the board meeting and say we need a transgender mannequin.
No,
yeah,
that would be interesting. It's gonna happen.
See, with me, I think my version of this is the guy who decided to put nipples on the Batman suit. That's my beat.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The other thing I think about is, there's two things that I've come across. I mean, one, I've never known anybody or seen it personally, but bath salts. Why are we smoking bath salts? At what point did somebody sitting in a nice, relaxing lavender bath?
That's not what bath salts are, right?
Yeah, I was fixing to say, it's not the same thing.
Are you sure? Well, then I guess that answers my question. I thought it was the same thing. I thought it was bath salts. You go to Walmart and you pick, really? Okay, well, see, now I've been educated. But I had a roommate. I had this girl that rented a room for me once, and she drank cough syrup.
Yes, that's a thing.
And I mean, I know that cough syrups, some have alcohol in them, but there's this particular cough syrup. And I don't think it's just... Well, no, that's not the name of it, but it's like Benel and DM or some shit, and it's got this D word that's long, and I can't pronounce it.
That's what it is.
Okay, and you drink it, and you drink the whole bottle of the freaking cough syrup, and she says, so in about half hour after drinking this stuff, you throw up violently.
Yes.
And then you're high for 12 hours, and I'm just like,
no.
And I remember seeing her sitting in my living room doing shots of cough syrup, and I'm going, wow. Like,
I was a boy
I
teenager.
have a similar story to this, because we used to have, I think they called them, red Solo Cup parties, which is where you would take that brand of cough syrup, a singular Jolly Rancher, put it in a cup, put Sprite with it, mix it all up, it was like purple drink, and then you would just drink it, and it was the worst night of my life.
Wow.
My favorite story coming out of that was about one of my friends, because he had apparently had a lot of it, and he was just kind of like that Christopher Walken in Pulp Fiction 1,000-yard stare, just out into the distance for a few, and then someone's just like, hey man, you all right? And he goes, hold on a second.
Nice. That's
and then perfectly sober after that he goes, yeah, I'm fine, what's up? Like, what the hell, dude?
No, that is a freaking experience. I've been down that. I don't know if I should tell this story. I don't know. I didn't expect to be telling this story on an episode with a guest. That's not how I thought this would come up, but you're a great guest, clearly.
Thank you. Yes.
I have been, in fact, been down that avenue myself, with the gentleman who is no longer with us, because I stopped doing that and he didn't.
Dark turn to start off your story. I like it.
Yeah, I know. I thought I'd start off there so I didn't kill the pinnacle of it all. But oh yeah, by the way, this guy's dead also. Like, I thought I'd just start there. Then we can walk.
Didn't bury that lead at all.
Then we can all hold hands and walk into the light together. Okay, so
singing Kumbaya.
Yeah. So we drank, I would say, a couple bottles of cough syrup, and we sat there and we were just fucked for about 13 hours, throughout the course of which the devil was taking us away on these trips of those long blank stares you were talking about. And during that long blank stare, we would just be taken away out of our bodies, and he was telling us all these vital things about Earth and mankind and the future of the planet and this, that, and then we would return to our bodies, and the other person would sit there and watch the missing party, and we'd swear, oh, I saw you come back into your eyes, I know you're back, what happened this time, man? And we'd try to exchange information before the other person lost it. It was the most fucked up trip of my goddamn life, and I can't believe they're allowed to sell that stuff.
Right?
Yeah. So I can't believe you that came up. I can't believe that you happened to bring that up in such a way that I got to expunge myself of that story. But
look, man, living in the South in a very small town, you get a lot of those stories at some point.
Small town, yeah, same here. Small town, because you run out of ways to get high and you have nothing to do.
I mean, I wasn't even searching for ways to get high. It was just brought to me.
Yeah. by
That's the
somebody
thing
who
about
ran out
living-
of ways to get high.
That's the thing about living in a town like this. Like, I don't personally smoke weed, but I guarantee after 2 minutes, I can find a guy. I don't have to search. It'll only take me 2 minutes on the phone. I could probably get worse than that. But small town connections, man.
Yeah, for sure. God. Well, I don't think there's any way to transition too smoothly from that. So, I guess since we've talked about 3 of your shows, the natural next place to go is clearly my favorite of your programs because I'm going to be on it in the next 82 hours. Fun Fiction.
Yes, Fun Fiction.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So, the birth of Fun Fiction was another one. Opposite Attractions is really the only one that wasn't really birthed from BS, because Fun Fiction was birthed from the first 5 episodes of BS in our 3rd segment. We read a fan fiction called WrestleMania 1962.
Okay.
There's no wrestling in it. There's no wrestlers in it, other than a female John Cena called Johanna Cena.
Oh my god,
and
I'm
the
sold.
entire well, I read it on the Fun Fiction YouTube channel. You can check that out. But the plot of it is Voldemort, who is the protagonist, Voldemort, is fighting John F. Kennedy because Kennedy's trying to kill all the wizards, and Kennedy makes like a giant mech to go kill wizards. He teams up with Dracula at some point. Let's see. Voldemort recruits the Sailor Scouts. Like, so much. There's a scene that has nothing to do with the rest of it about the alien and Predator going on a date. It was insane, and so...
I'm sorry, are we still talking about, like, trips we've been on, or is it...
No, this is the same, this is all in the same story. And so, my friend Brenna, who is the original host for Fun Fiction, I knew that she liked writing fan fiction, so I was like, well, this is an obvious fit. We can talk about movies and stuff like that, because, like I said, you gotta make sure you can talk to someone about this for, like, hours on end. And I knew that anytime I watched a new movie or a new TV show, she was the first person I went to because I know we could go back and forth. So I invited her to come on the show, and we did it for about 26 episodes, and we found a decent format because I found other fan fiction shows that they're good if you like fan fiction, but normal people, it's not as accessible.
Yeah.
So with ours, we spend half of it doing a review and then the other half reading fan fiction, which varies from very good and emotional to weird, buck wild bullshit. And, but like I said, at like episode 23, 24, somewhere around there, Brenna had to leave due to work. And so now we're working on a guest system where we have a lot of awesome guests come on, like you, of course, to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And for you, we're doing Bob's Burgers, correct?
Yes, we are. And I've been commissioned to write fan fiction.
Yes.
Which I'm so prepared for, Scotty. I'm so prepared.
Oh, thank God, because I'm not.
And by that,
So
he means
prepared.
he hasn't done a fucking thing.
I am so prepared, Ryan. Shut up.
I don't believe that for a second.
Wildly prepared.
I have known you for years, and that statement and your name do not go together. Period. Like,
Preparation H is looking at me like, damn, son, you prepared. Like...
As someone who's done this show for a little over half a year now, no, I'm on that same train because the amount of times where I was hosting and Brenna would be like, okay, do you have it done? I'm like, yeah, it's totally done. Wait, can we postpone for like 30 minutes tonight just for me to, not write it, just do whatever? Yeah. She's like, you're not done, are you? And I'm like, not at all, I haven't started.
Well, we're recording late in the day tomorrow, so
yeah.
that, if you're wondering why, that's... God. Well, with me... Oh, go ahead.
With me, I like I like waiting to the last minute, especially, I do this with opposite attractions all the time, because it gives you the most buck wild, insane ideas. Because if you think about it too much, then you get some, like, emotional, like, a lot of resonance, like, my Harry Potter series, we're doing I've never seen Harry Potter before,
okay.
So I'm literally, I know. So I'm going through and rewatching them, and I'm writing a fan fiction at the same time, and that's well thought out. And I love that series, but also, my favorite one of all time is still where I rewrote Ouran High School Host Club, this very bougie anime, to feature John Cena in the lead role instead. And yeah, I much prefer that over anything I've written that's actually, like, sad and emotional.
I feel like John Cena enters a lot of things that you do.
Look, John's my boy. John's 100% my man. I love John Cena.
Hey, fair enough. He seems like a good guy. Everything I've ever seen about him, I've never seen anything that was, like, non-wrestling related that made me go, oh god, you're, like, a bad human. He seems to be a really good guy.
He loves anime. John Cena loves anime, and I don't understand.
I met Brock Lesnar.
Oh.
When you're still alive to tell the tale?
Well, you know, it was funny. He was with his wife there. What's her name? Sable or some shit?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My ex-wife was all about Sable, I guess, in her WWE days. But we were just driving down the street in the town we lived in Manitoba, and we see these two people. I'm like, and this was during Brock Lesnar's time in the UFC, and I'm just like, oh shit, that's Brock Lesnar. And so I whip into the parking lot and just about run him over. And I'm just like, hey man, I'm like, can I get a picture? And he was going into this taco joint, and he was a total dick. He was just like, no, fuck off.
That sounds about right. That tracks with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay.
See, there are wrestlers where, for me, if I saw them in public, I'm like, I would go talk to them. But then there are ones like Brock Lesnar where I'm like, I would just look. I wouldn't go near him because I would be afraid my head would get torn off in a few minutes.
Just stare at that train wreck from a distance.
Well, and I didn't know. I didn't know he was such a prick. So I actually Googled him after that. And yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a reputation for being a very friendly guy.
Yeah.
So
as opposed to, like, I've met a lot of people in the wrestling world, and a lot of them are good, but you always meet the ones who have, like, small weird tics. Like, I met former women's champion AJ Lee, and this was, like, at a meet and greet, but they were very much just like, you're not allowed to touch her, you're not allowed to go near her, you give her the thing to autograph, and you take a picture leaning over, and I'm like, okay, cool.
No touching.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then I meet guys like Chris Jericho from your neck of the woods.
Yes.
And he was the nicest fucking guy. Like, I was wearing a shirt that I used to wear every time I met a wrestler that says World's Greatest Grandpa. And he didn't even want to talk about himself. Like, he wasn't like, yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope this. Instead, he was just like, so you're the world's greatest grandpa, eh? And I'm like, yeah, fuck with me. And he's just like, you had to have that kid really young. And I'm like, yeah. We had him when I was 7. He's like, well, that's amazing.
I had to take puberty for a test drive.
Yeah.
God.
I had a 1-day shot of puberty, and then I had a lot more to wait after.
Yeah. Who's your pride and joy for meeting wrestling people?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I've met a lot of really cool guys in wrestling, and I've met a lot of guys who were kind of rough and not the best. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to think about. Actually, no. I do know my favorite, and it's actually a guy from the '90s, so you'll know him, Mick Foley, Mankind.
Oh yeah.
And I went to this was interesting because, like, I'm getting to a point now where I'm thinking about, like, what would happen if we did live shows? How do we handle meet and greets? Yeah. And I really enjoy the way Mick Foley did his meet and greet before one of his comedy shows because he basically invited everybody who got a meet and greet ticket in to sit in the theater, and then they were called up one at the time, and they got to spend, like, I got to spend like 5 minutes just hanging out with him and talking with him for like a solid bit, and he didn't really care about, once again, I think the best guys don't care about you complimenting them. They just kind of want to talk for a few.
Yeah.
So he was just sitting, I was doing a Ric Flair impression, he was giggling back and forth, like, we just had a good time. He actually recorded an intro for Fight Boys, which was really awesome.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now that you've said it, you have to do your Ric Flair impression.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have a match that's coming up, or just going off the cuff here?
On the cuff, you decide.
Sure,
Well,
Flair's
big
choice.
man, the nature boy, Ric Flair is here. He's coming to the city, gonna kiss the girls and make them cry. Because I am a kiss-stealing, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. And I am a 16-time world heavyweight champion, and you may not like it, but you better learn to love it. Because Ric Flair is for ever.
Nice.
Yeah, boy.
That was worth it. Yeah, that was
worth it.
Yeah. I can die a happy man.
So, yeah.
One of the first things we did on BS a long time ago was, I don't know why, but I really enjoy incorporating, like, a storyline into, because, like, everyone has a show that's two white guys talking about nothing for an hour, as you very well know. And,
yes, you're on it.
And so I'm like, I really enjoy the idea of incorporating a storyline into it, and one of our first storylines involved Ric Flair suing us and taking us to wrestler's court, and we did we've actually done 2 musical episodes now, and that was one of our first ones.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have got to hear that, okay? That's awesome.
I will say, what we just did, we just put out our 100th episode of BS Celebration, and it was a musical. And it was all about the fact that we were going to get canceled and pulled from podcast airwaves by the podcast Illuminati. And it was our job to take back the show by any means necessary, and we did it through music, through the power of music.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And still a better love story than Twilight.
Yes.
There we go. And you guys did Twilight on Fun Fiction, I know that.
We did do Twilight because I'm not gonna. It's not the worst. It's a decent flick, and my Brenna, who was the co-host at the time, loves it. So I'm like, I don't want to be the dick who's like, I don't like this a lot. So we always try to keep our reviews super positive of this was awesome and this was awesome. Let's talk about all the great things in it. So I was like, how do I make Twilight bearable? And I realized, you know how they say you can sync up Dark Side of the Moon to Wizard of Oz, like, perfectly?
Yeah.
I synced up Fall Out Boy's Save Rock and Roll album to Twilight, and it fits amazingly well.
Yeah.
So like, I just spent the show talking about that.
Yep. Yeah, I listened to 99% of that episode if I didn't finish it, and I love that. Yeah, the walk, because at every step you'd walk us through where you were on rock and roll there.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to do a full podcast that does that, where we just get a movie and then we have to find an album that fits with it and see if it syncs up, because I know another show that's very good that's not mine, it's called Till Death Do Us Blart.
Okay.
And it's 5 guys every Thanksgiving. They get together and watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, and then they review it for an hour and a half, and that's it. They just do that once a year, and that's their show. And one year, one of the guys synced it up to Dark Side of the Moon, and it worked perfectly, so I'm like, there's legs to this.
Yeah, no.
Should just do it weekly.
I believe that. You definitely could. With all the different ideas that are out there, I think that would work. That would definitely work.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of reminds me of I think it's the worst idea of all time, I think is what I'm thinking of.
It's the same guys. It's the worst idea of all time guys with the McElroy brothers,
No
and
way,
they do
really?
that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Because they watch something. I can't remember every day for a year, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I know it was a sequel to something.
It wasn't they actually have 3 seasons. The first season they watched Grown Ups 2.
That's the one I know of. Yeah.
It was every week for a year, though. It wasn't every day.
Okay.
No one did something that insane except for me.
Yeah, okay. Wait, are you saying you watched the same thing every day for a year?
It wasn't for a full year. During the podcast Illuminati storyline, we decided to have like 10 episodes that were not our usual BS format. Basically, that entire storyline was just for us to change the format of our show.
Okay.
But we decided to do like 10 episodes making fun of more successful podcasts. So we did like a Joe Rogan interview episode, we did a bad movie episode, we did a D&D episode, and then one week we decided, well, why don't we one-up the worst idea of all time by watching a bad movie every day for a week? And we watched Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector, and boy, let me tell you now.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It destroyed. We did it during Thanksgiving too, which meant that I had to, after Thanksgiving dinner, go home, sit back in a lazy boy, and just be like, "Time to watch some Larry."
Oh God! I think that's the cinematic equivalent of the woman who overdosed on soy sauce and killed herself.
Wait, what?
What, you don't know about that?
No, I don't know about this.
No
Somebody
idea what you're talking
drank themselves to death. I'll try to find out more about that real quick. Somebody drank themselves to death on soy sauce because they thought it was like a soy sauce cleanse.
Oh no, that's absolutely not a thing.
How much soy sauce would you have to drink?
A shit ton, I think, is the scientific answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got it here. She was 39 years old. It sent her into cardiac arrest, is what killed her.
The salt.
Okay.
Well, yeah, probably, and just you just can't put that much of something in your body. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much
Does
she
it
drank.
say how much?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out exactly how much she drank. Yeah, I know.
Because I put a lot of soy sauce on my rice, and now I'm a little worried that I'm getting up there in years, right?
Yeah, it's gonna take you down, man.
A gallon.
A
You
gallon.
drank
a gallon.
4 liters of soy sauce for us Canadians. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of soy sauce.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and they remind us in the article, soy sauce is just fermented cabbage, water, and salt. So just those ingredients, I'm pretty sure if you drink enough water, just straight up, like unsolicited amounts of water, you can even give yourself a heart attack and crap like that. Like, it's not
Yeah, you can take yourself out with the water.
Yeah, like, no maximum dosage of any of those things is healthy. I don't know what happens if you OD on cabbage, but I could only imagine. You know, there's some very unpleasant stomach pumping involved.
But I mean, I'm sure in my younger years I probably drank about a gallon of liquor and I didn't die, but a gallon of soy sauce would kill me. That's fucked up.
A gallon of liquor still isn't good for you. It's just that you survive. That's the only difference.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd think, right? What if you smoked a gallon of pot?
That's not how pot works.
That's not how pot is measured.
Yeah, but if you took a gallon pot and put pot in the gallon pot and then smoked it, okay? All right? Okay. There's ways around logical measurement.
Have you smoked a half gallon of pot before that sentence? Yeah. Jesus. Oh man, this is just terrifying me because like I've got that kind of grandparent who like anytime you go visit them are like, don't drink any Monster Energy drinks. The news told me that it'll give you a heart attack. I'm over it next time I go. He's gonna be like, quit putting soy sauce on things, son.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing for this woman. She got the idea from somewhere. She didn't just wake up one morning and go, you know what I bet cleanses the shit out of me is a lot of sodium. She got the idea from somewhere. And a whole bunch of people, you know, a sufficient handful of nutcases said it could, cure health conditions and stuff like that. But the people who tried it, they say here, quote, reported migraines, fever, numbness, high blood pressure, and even stroke.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah,
that tracks with everything in there.
Wow. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like some things, you know, like if somebody, like, okay, so what's the new thing they're talking about? Eating shit as being healthy, okay? So,
yeah, that's the thing too.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I just feel like I'm not sitting there dropping a dookie in the bathroom, you know, at McDonald's, and I read on the wall beside me that you know, hey, you know, grab a scoopful, it's healthy for you, and I'm just like, cool, let's do it. You know, I feel like something
I don't get my trusted knowledge. I don't get my trusted knowledge from the McDonald's bathroom wall normally, though.
Yeah. But no, but I mean, yeah, okay, so just something that is just so out there. Like, okay, so somebody says, hey, did you hear, like, we were talking about this on one of our episodes, and you know, eating shit. We didn't get into at length about it, discuss it at length, but it was, you know, it was in passing, just, yeah, you know, eating shit's a thing now, and it's supposed to be healthy for you. Well, okay, I'm going to Google the fuck out of that, because there's just no way... Because Paul told me that it's gonna be healthy, and it's not for lack of trust.
No, hang on.
Paul.
I just want to clarify some stuff up front. I didn't tell you it was gonna be healthy. I told you there's people who think it is healthy. I just want to go on the record.
Either way, it's a thing.
No,
it's a thing.
No, not either way.
No, either way, but it's still a thing. It's something you heard, okay,
Yeah.
and that you relayed the information. And you know, as sparse as it was, you relayed the information, and I just feel like people can be dumb as fuck. I mean, I'm gonna sit there, whether it be soy sauce. I mean, if somebody says drink a liter of orange juice every day for 2 weeks, and these positive things are gonna happen. I mean, okay, some things sound reasonable, some things, you know, but like soy sauce, we put a capful on our frickin' rice. You know, we put it in some cooking. We don't, I mean, to sit there, because everyone that has soy sauce knows it's salty as fuck. And most people, I think it's pretty common knowledge that too much salt is not good for you. So I would just, again, I don't think I'd be like, yeah. No, I'd be Googling the fuck out of any of this. I don't know, that's just so weird.
There's a vulnerable segment of society, I think, that kind of, you know... You're looking for a better answer, I think, by the time you get to drinking soy sauce, but there needs to be a gate on that information, maybe.
But now, because of this idiot, all the soy sauce companies are going to have warning labels on their bottles.
I betcha. Don't ingest over X number, or the FDA says that the maximum amount,
This is going to be a thing now.
The whole drinking feces thing, just to clarify, is a fecal transplant. But apparently it's good for people who have like severe rare conditions in their stomach, I guess, and it helps to like.
This reminds me of Jankum. Do you remember the good Jank?
The Jankum, no.
Oh, you never heard about? Jankum was It was another one of those like news, because like. Every few years, the news gets a scare tactic of, your kids are probably doing this, when, like, no one's actually doing it. Like the Tide Pod thing.
Yeah.
There were, like, 5 idiots on the internet that did it, and then the news was like, everyone's eating Tide Pods. No, we're not, buddy.
Yeah, no.
But Jank, back in the day, was another creative way for children to get high, allegedly.
Okay.
And it was, you shat in a jar...
Yes, I know.
Basically, put as much as you could, like, in a jar, then put a balloon over the top of it. The balloon catched, like, the methane and excess gas off of it, and then you would huff it and get high. Allegedly.
I didn't know the word.
No one did it, but there was, like, a news thing for weeks of just, like, are your kids doing jank? And I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah, ain't nobody doing that. I do think I think the idea came, I've heard, and I hope that I'm not spreading, you know, just more soy sauce bullshit, but I heard that is done in some countries. Like there's places where the like poorer regions where children do that, because it's kind of like a street game or whatever, because they hallucinate.
Yeah,
and there might be a foundation for that, but I don't think anybody, at least outside of 2 or 3 people, made that any kind of epidemic over here. No.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. That was a weird place we ended up in.
Yeah, that'd be a special kind of person to you know, bunch of kids getting together, shitting in a jar, and And then, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
feel-
gaggy going into public bathrooms at times, right? Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine. Yeah. Right.
No, I get gaggy thinking about the premise of that. Like, just what I just can't. I don't even want to vocalize it, but just like, what does that smell like? What does that just everything? I just get gaggy just thinking about it.
What does that taste like? Fuck the smell. What does that taste like? You're huffing it. Oh my God.
I hate you right now.
You know, this is so funny.
to-
You sit there and you see in movies and someone drops a fart and everyone's like, I can taste it. I can taste it. Right? Like, I mean, this is legit. I mean, what does that taste like? I mean, I feel like that would feel thick in your mouth, and you could roll
When
that
you're
around in
breathing
your
it?
mouth. Yeah, you could roll it around in your mouth, season it with a little Frank's Red Hot or something. I mean, I don't know, man. That's Jesus.
I put that shit on shit.
I put that shit on shit. Man. Right? Oh.
Good God.
There's just like
I
the
don't-
regular street jank. That's, and then there's the premium street jank that you get from like the Colombian street jankers. Right? And,
This is luxury jank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they eat specific things. They like eat rose petals for a few days before time, so it has a special aroma.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was going a different route. I was gonna say like this was made from the shit of Jennifer Aniston. Here you go, huff it.
Maybe.
It's luxury.
Or Angelina Jolie, she likes giving back to people.
You know what? Jennifer Aniston, I would suck the shit out of her ass with a garden hose. Whatever. I'll say it. I'll say it. You know?
Wow. Are you sure about that?
No.
You know
but
she's still a human
it sounded
being,
good.
right?
It sounded good.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
If you were on a BMX right now with the brakes be on, are you backpedaling that hard?
No, not
No,
that
okay.
hard. I mean, I'm half serious.
You're half serious.
He's just luxuriating in the awkward silence that followed that sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we should probably
This
stop
is the
talking about
podcast
shit.
equivalent. Yeah, probably. This is the podcast equivalent of waking up in the Saw room. I think we're just all looking at each other trying to figure out how we got here now. I don't even know where
Do
to
you
go
want to
from
play
there.
a game?
I wanted. Well, speaking of games, we have a
Huff
couple of those,
this
but I wanted
shit,
to ask
and
you.
I will give you your freedom.
That could be Saw 37.
Yeah.
That could be. I
Yep.
think that's where we're at now, isn't it? Right, 37, 40? Yeah.
Something about
speaking
that.
of 30s,
We're up there.
Not really. Yeah, we're up there. Has your search for fan fiction ever taken you down any bizarre and unrecorded avenues?
Absolutely.
I
Because,
would
like,
think so.
usually, what it is sometimes people will make, like, shock fan fiction that's just meant, like, there's one about Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony, and the plot of it is that she bakes other ponies into cupcakes, and there's just this gruesome scene of her demolishing Rainbow Dash. That one's bad.
Oh,
There was
God.
one called Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, and that one is from Gravity Falls. And that was about Dipper going to Taco Bell and having just the most violent, horrifying diarrhea in the bathroom that I
Back to
didn't
the shit.
read.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, my favorite was I read a version of it on the show, and it was Dipper goes to the bathroom. He does a quick pee, washes his hands, and leaves. The end.
Nice.
I think that's better.
Yeah, it's better. It's cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my favorite are like song fics, which are like fan fictions written, but they usually put in like it's usually My Chemical Romance, but like garbage song lyrics, and that's what dictates what it's about.
Oh,
And I recorded an episode on Avatar last week, and I don't know why, but there was like I found at least 2, which is 2 more than there should have been, crossovers between Avatar and the musical Mamma Mia, and I don't know what that's about at all.
Oh my God.
Including song parodies. Like, they rewrote the songs to be about Avatar. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Because, like, sometimes you'll have one that, a crossover that makes very good logical sense.
Yeah.
Like, like Frozen and Avatar, that fits together, because Elsa could be considered like a waterbender. Fine, that works. But then there are some where I'm just too curious. Like when we did an episode on Back to the Man, John Cena.
Okay.
And I found a crossover of John Cena and Shrek.
What?
And I read that bitch on the show. That one came up, and I'm like, this has to happen.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I'm not disappointed. I'm glad I asked. I'm very, very glad I asked about that. Well, what do you think? What would the answer be? My Little Pony? If I asked you what was the worst one you've ever found?
If it's a question of like quality, because there are some that are bad, but like they're also good in a way. Like the Harry Potter ones we're doing, I've been reading a series called My Immortal, which is infamously the worst fan fiction ever written, but it's so funny that I can't even call it bad anymore. That's the same thing, WrestleMania 1962 falls into this category as well, because it's like, it makes no sense. It's written fairly well, but it's just so bad it's good, and those are like the best fan fictions in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough.
But as far as just like something that's just bad, I can usually tell within like 10 lines if this is going to be not good for the show or not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got to write one for your show, so just hang in there. You'll know in the first 10 lines we're going downhill quick.
Yeah. What do you mean? I thought you were completely prepared. Didn't you say you were just fully prepared and ready for the show?
No, I mean I am. I was speaking as though it was several weeks ago. I just putting myself in that mindset. It's part of my yoga exercises. That's right. All of that is true. Well, Ryan.
Yes, I'm here.
You have activities for the class today, don't you?
I do have activities for the class.
As
always.
Yeah.
As always. So we have word of the day, where Paul and I take turns each week to, I guess word of the week. Take turns each week coming up with a word to give each other, and the other person has to define it.
Yes, with no prior knowledge of what the hell it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Based exclusively on unbridled bullshit.
Yes. And also trivia.
Okay, cool. I can handle this.
I don't care. Why did I need 2 words here, Paul? You told me I needed 2 words.
Well, I thought if you did 2 words, I could do one. I have a feeling Scotty's going to pick up on this really, really, really easily. But, you never know with the guests. So,
okay, well,
I was going to do one
start...
to set the stage. And then
okay,
I was going to let
I think you're just going to, trial by fire, just throw Scotty right into it.
I think he's ready for it.
Okay, so I got 2 words. I am going to give you Zibbeline.
Zibbeline. So,
what
Zibbeline
does
is the... It's that thing of when you zip up your pants before everything's put back in place, and like the skin of your dick gets caught in there, and then you have to jiggle it around in the zipper. So the bleen is kind of like the bouncing back and forth of it, and then the zib is obviously from the zip.
Could this happen with a vagina as well?
A very pronounced vagina. That's the only possible way, but I think only the man can get zibbelined.
Okay, well, suffice to say you are wrong.
What?
Yes, you are absolutely wrong. A zibbeline is a soft, lustrous wool fabric with mohair, alpaca, or camel hair.
Huh.
No, I like mine more.
Yeah, and by the way, I take back what I said earlier. Very pronounced vagina, new episode title.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That's got my vote. All
right,
right,
I think
Paul.
It was as likely to be that as what he said, because I wouldn't relate that. If I heard that, I would never in a million years guess that it was what it truly was. Fabric. I would never have thought that.
And I think we're batting 0 here on our words. I don't think either of us have come even remotely close.
No, not in the
to
least.
a real definition. So your turn, and your
Okay.
word is bartolator.
Bartolator.
Yes.
Bartolator. Okay. Well, so a bartolator is so in the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s, when they were getting tires in order, sort of for the first motor vehicles and stuff. There wasn't that layer of the steel mesh that runs through a tire. That wasn't in there yet. But of course there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of accidents and stuff, and blown tires because of that. So when they first came up with that wire mesh, they needed to segregate resources from from blacksmith shops and things like that. So they created a new job title, and the person who was in charge of bending and inserting that wire mesh was a bartolator.
I was gonna say that it's the machine they use to replicate pictures of Bart Simpson when he goes and signs 8x10s. It's the bartolator.
Yeah, that would, I think, made a little bit more sense. And Paul, I had absolutely zero idea what direction you were trying to go with your definition. And I do have so many questions, but I just will pose this particular one. There was so many accidents. You mean when cars did a whole 2 miles per hour? I mean, I bet you there was a lot of deaths.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but they weren't very safe either. So if they were going 2 miles an hour and the tire blew, suddenly it fell over, and there wasn't like doors on all vehicles, so people would just fall out and hit their head. Like, it was a very dangerous time.
Paul, than the original cars. So
I know, that's why you don't want to fall out at that, because you don't tumble or anything, you just fall straight onto your head. It's concussion city, man. Don't you know your history?
They didn't teach tuck and roll back then, did they?
No, that was new technology. They were just trying to get the first tires to roll. They couldn't be occupied getting people to roll. Come on.
That's fair. All right, well, you again are wrong. No big surprise with that tirade.
I figured.
It is a person who idolizes Shakespeare.
That would make sense.
Oh, Bard, not Bart.
Yeah, Bard.
Yeah, I heard Bart. I heard Bart too-ish. Sort of, yeah.
I don't think your story would have been any different, Paul.
Oh, yeah, I would have known what it was if I had heard the D.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, you should have just
My bad.
You should have gave him the D.
Yeah. It would have all been better if you just would have given me the D.
Oh, my God. The directions
Well,
this podcast
now that we've come
takes.
through that. I
right,
know,
so
right?
let's,
You
let's
did
do
wonderful,
our-
by the way, Scotty. You did
Yeah,
wonderful.
that was
you,
great.
thank
That
you.
was great.
I
Welcome
caramba.
to the show. Yeah.
Have you done The Simpsons yet? Sorry, I need to interrupt you. Have you done anything about The Simpsons yet?
I don't think we have, actually.
That needs to happen.
That would be a good episode for Fun Fiction, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, as you were, Ryan.
Okay, as I was. All right, we are going to do Guinness Record Trivia today.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, first question.
I'm
Okay,
actually going to a Guinness Record, place this weekend, a Guinness Record museum, so this is a good prep for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. You would be a Guinness fanboy. You would be uniquely prepared for this. What the What the hell? Okay.
Okay, so first question. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, what is the age of the oldest DJ? Is it 95, 101, 83, or 92?
Wow. I'm gonna say 95.
Okay,
I want to submit 101.
okay.
For
The
judge's
actual
consideration.
answer is 83.
Ah.
Her name is Sumiko Iwamoro. I know I hacked that. Or AKA DJ Sumirock.
That's awesome.
She is 83
Well,
years and 118 days old, and she plays at a monthly club in Japan.
Well, look, just give it 18 years and my answer will actually be right, so...
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
All right, so question 2. What is the most Rubik's Cubes solved one-handed while treading water in 1 hour? Is it 8? Is it 42? 137? Or 98?
98.
40. Yeah, 98. I'm with you. 98.
You're with 98? It's
Yeah.
actually 137 by a gentleman
Fuck.
named Shen Weifu from Beijing, China. And he made that record on
That's-
August 2nd, 2017.
Well,
That's over
holy
2 a
shit.
minute.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's freaking
Yeah, that's
crazy.
unbelievable. That's the math I was trying to do. Like, there's no way that he's doing like 4 or 5 of these things a minute. Like, come on. Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Wow.
right? That's
Weifu.
impressive. Weifu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
We've been
question
food.
number
Okay,
3.
sorry, yeah.
What is the most sausages produced in 1 minute? Is it 78, 37, 113, or 54?
113.
Yeah. Sorry to lash onto your coattails again. I'd say 100. Yeah, I'd say I agree with that.
Well,
yeah.
it's because, like, the last round, our math was clearly underestimating. So I'm like, I don't want to underestimate. Let's go big or go home here. Two sausages a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a machine at least, so I buy that. Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a second, not a minute. I'm sorry.
So it was actually 78 by a gentleman named Barry John from Crow, Ireland.
My God, people can solve
no.
Rubik's cubes faster than that.
Wait a minute. Was this handmade sausages or were they machine made?
It doesn't say. It doesn't tell me.
Oh no.
Okay.
It doesn't tell
Well
me.
then. So the record is just the most sausages made. It doesn't stipulate.
In 1 minute, yeah, it doesn't
weird.
say whether it was by hand or with the machine.
They should stipulate that in the record.
They should. I think they absolutely should, and Guinness fails for this.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What is the most double Dutch style skips done by a dog in 1 minute?
Okay.
Is it 0, 76, 32, or 128?
32.
What was the second one?
76.
And this is in how long?
1 minute.
Oh.
A dog. Double Dutch. Skipping.
No, wait. For a successful double Dutch, do both ropes have to go under your feet to count as one jump?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
are we
32.
counting them as separate
Okay.
passes? No, I'm gonna say 76. That was one, right?
No.
Was that one of my options?
Yes.
No, what were my
Yeah,
options?
that
Yeah,
is-
okay, yeah, then 76.
Okay, it was actually 128. And it was done by a German Shepherd. A Border Collie and Kelpie Cross in Samantha Vale, USA on April 7th, 2014. 128.
Was it levitating? Like, how did it pull this off?
You know what? I'd be impressed with 2. Right? Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that it's 128 blows my mind. But
And
yeah,
how fast were they
128.
spinning that rope?
I don't fucking know. Jesus.
Well, you're supposed to do your
What
research.
is this? What? Yeah, but what would
You're
it mean? How many
fired.
how many double Dutch style skips did a dog do in 1 minute if the ropes were going at a velocity of 4 miles per hour with an easterly wind of 37 kilometers? Like Jesus Christ.
42.
Slightly overcast with a 30% chance of rain. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Then 47. Duh. Okay.
Fuck. All right, so last question.
Okay.
How many toothpicks were used in the world's largest Star Wars toothpick sculpture? Now, I hadn't decided on what I wanted to do with how I wanted to do this question, but I will give you the dimensions. Okay?
Okay.
So the dimensions were 39 centimeters tall, 1.48 meters long, and 80 centimeters wide. So how many toothpicks were used in that sculpture? Was it 21,000, 9,000, 27,000, or 15,000?
21,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that.
15,000.
Ah,
Slackers. They should have
Yeah,
used
and it
21.
was done. What's the guy's name here? Stan Monroe from the U.S. on December 5th of 2017 from Syracuse, New York.
Huh.
What was it? You said Star Wars sculpture, but what specific from this?
It's a Star Destroyer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know at the Guinness place I'm going this weekend, I've already been there before, and they do have a giant Hogwarts made out of toothpicks, and it's massive.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Holy crap. So do they paint it?
No, it's still just toothpicks.
It's still
it's
just toothpicks?
straight
Okay.
toothpicks, yeah.
Just wondering. Yeah, okay.
My favorite thing about that place, though, is it's like half of exhibits, and half of it is you get to try to set world records.
Oh, really?
And they have a room that you can just go in and scream and see if you can have the loudest scream. And Chaboy broke that record with all my vocal training.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Nice
walked
work.
in, shut the door, and my parents were like, "Yeah, we were outside and we just heard like, ah! I guess it worked."
That caused the sweetest echo on the line, too. I got to hear that, I got to hear that res off or whatever. I got, that was awesome. Okay, well, have fun there this weekend.
Yes.
You know, try to break lots of world records while you're there. I think there's a website like that you could go to a while back, or it's probably still there because it's a website, where you could, compete for random world records that don't exist yet, and it was just based on, photo and video proof. You had to video yourself doing it or whatever. But it was, stupid things like the most mouse traps you could attach to your face and stuff that. There was, weird shit like that, yeah. It's kind of weird. I don't know. People do lots of bizarre things. So, do you have any... I wanted to ask you... Actually, I got another question. Are you a comic book guy?
Yeah, I am if it's something I'm super enthused in, but that also requires... I feel like it's something that builds. You find one comic book you like, and through that, you segue into other stuff. I know a lot about, the lore of comic books, but as far as asking about specific books and specific readings, I am not a comic book guy. But I do like just kind of sitting back on Wikipedia and being like, let's look up what Section 8 was. Let's look up the history of this. That's kind of how I'm into comic books.
Okay, interesting. I was just wondering, it felt like it might be in your wheelhouse of things. I wasn't sure, so I'm looking for somebody, because I feel like I could get into comic books, but I feel like it's such an overwhelming, unbelievable, massive world that I don't even know where to start. I don't know how do you begin. It's not I'm gonna start with the first book, then I'll understand the other stuff that comes afterwards. You know what I
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's such a mass amount of things. Just going to the Spider-Man wiki and reading, history of the comic book. But wait, there's also this alternate version. And also in this one universe, he impregnates Mary Jane, but his spider semen causes her to die from cancer. And I'm like, what? Slow down. Hold on.
Okay, two things. A, exactly. And second, that's a real thing?
Yes, that's a legit storyline they did in the Spider-Man comic.
Wow,
Spider-Man's
I'm so happy.
radioactive semen kills Mary Jane.
Oh my god. Wow. That's who sat down and wrote that? I got questions. I don't know that.
So would you put that as Spider-Man? Would you, after killing Mary Jane, being Spider-Man, would then you put that information on your Tinder profile?
What, cum that kills? No, I don't think so.
No, okay.
Maybe just we have to wear a condom, and have is in all caps.
Yeah. Okay, no, I was just curious if that would be something that would be on his Tinder profile.
Yeah.
You know?
I also like that his Tinder profile says Spider-Man and not Peter Parker.
Yeah, of course.
You want to fuck Spider-Man? Come on, baby.
It'll be the last sex you need to have.
It's true. It's true. I'm trying to think of something to say to that, and I got nothing, so I'm just gonna shut up.
I noticed. I felt the vacancy there.
Yeah, there was. That hamster wheel was turning, boy.
It was just a space of time that had a sad emoji over top of it.
Like a bunch of them floating up from the ground.
Yeah, like a live feed, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any other projects on the go in the background that you're kind of, speaking of comic books, do you have a comic book coming out next year or something secretive like that going on, bubbling behind the scenes?
Don't, but now that we finally got the BS musical out of the way, I'm hopefully soon in the next... Well, hold on, I do have a really big project coming out in May, and that's my first baby. But I've already put the work in there, now it's just waiting for it to be published.
So what was it like working on that project? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, it was... Is it bad we know like the exact day and what was happening, and we know it was angry sex? Like, it's real weird.
I was joking, now I'm not. Okay, so you know the exact day, hey?
So, it was 2018, right after Dragon Con. I got back, we had an argument, I made her come over, we did thing, and then a few weeks later, she was like, baby, and I'm like, awesome.
And what was the weather like on that day?
It was a drizzly Tuesday.
What was the wind speed? Okay. Right?
All I know was Monday, and it was dark.
Okay.
Was there anything on TV or the radio at the time? Was this a baby conceived
No, we always make sure
Cooper?
to turn that off.
Okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah. I once had sex to Good Burger, though. Not with my current girlfriend, but Good Burger was on, and we were like, well, I don't know where the remote is, so this is just going to be on in the background.
Great.
That would be weird. Listening to that guy's voice and the stupidity.
I'm a dude. She's a dude. He's a dude. You're gonna come now. Like, oh shit! How do you know?
Yeah. Timing is everything.
But going back to upcoming projects, since we just finished the BS musical, I'm taking like a few weeks to recuperate. I've got a pay-per-view for JWF this Sunday, expiration date, which you could find on the BS Network YouTube channel, and I'm hopefully about to start the sequel to BS vs. the Gods, which was my novel I wrote as a kind of companion piece to A Load of BS, and it's like supernatural, but instead of demons, we fight Grecian gods.
Nice.
And it's really insane. Like, there's a rap battle. Every 15 chapters, there's a recipe for a cocktail that I made up. Like, it's...
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I broke every rule on how to make a book with that book.
I like that. That sounds awesome. Okay, well, you'll have to, keep us appraised when that comes out. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I guess then there's not too much else I don't think I wanted to ask you. Do you have any questions for this gentleman, Ryan? There were specific, actually pre-written questions.
Yeah, I asked all 5 of them already.
Okay.
He's like, I asked the Jinkum question. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really what we had you on the show for, was to get down to the root of Jankum. Yeah. That was really what it was all about. Yeah.
I am
Scottye
forever
Jenks,
traumatized.
they called me.
Yeah.
Your street name.
Yeah, Scottye Jenks.
Little Jenks. There we go. That can be your hip-hop name.
Well, Scottye Jenks is a street name. Little Jenks could be like the DJ name. DJ Little Jenks.
Yeah.
And you could, in however many years, become the oldest DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Because that other 85-year-old DJ, she's bound to knock off soon.
Oh, right? God.
That's morbid.
There'll be a spot needing to be filled.
You said it like you're coming for her, like I'm gonna take her out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything, man. I'm just saying DJing, dangerous business, man. Little mistake here, there. Who knows, man? Who knows? I'm just saying. You know, get in line for that shit. There might be an opening. I'm just saying.
Well, that was awkward.
Yeah. Well, last week I did something not similar, but similar, and I copped a horrible Italian accent halfway through. This week I chose to just commit to being me.
Oh,
Thank you.
You know, you're welcome.
I'd forgotten about that. That was bad.
I can never forget about that, so you're lucky.
No. Yeah, that was
I wake
really
up
bad.
screaming because of that.
I bet.
Yeah. He's doing it again. Yeah.
That's the worst thing about editing the show, is going back and being like, oh shit, I did that. I really did that. Oh no.
Yeah. That's the worst thing, getting used to listening to your voice for 4 hours a week or whatever.
Yeah.
For you, it's probably just a constant siphon of shows that you're editing. I'm sure you just listen to your voice all week long now. But
I edit it 2 times speed, so it doesn't sound like me. It sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. So
I've
from
done
that
that
point,
trick too. Yeah.
we're good.
That's what I'm really getting into crunch time. I speed it up by twice, and then I try to go through and do what I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Which is should probably be a weekly thing, because that's me. I'm as I've mentioned, very prepared for your show tomorrow.
Yes.
Speaking of your show, this is the moment, I suppose, when I'll give you a minute to do some shameless self-promotion and blurt out some Twitter handles, some websites, and whatever you want people to know, so that they can come flock to watch you at your most vulnerable and exposed.
Oh, God. I'm so prepped for this. You can find me on Twitter at Scottye Moore, SCOTTYEMO. Buy all the books on Amazon. Just look up Scottye Moore. Scotty is spelled with an E because that's the kind of way my mom raised me, SCOTTYE. You can find all the shows at aloadofpurebs.com and follow it on Twitter at aloadofpurebs, and then all the other shows have their own Twitter accounts as well. And that should be it. Buy merch. I've got merch. Patreon? I don't know. I'm just having a seizure now.
Give us your Patreon while you're here. We also have one of those. Go ahead and let us know what your Patreon is.
Patreon.com/aloadofbs. We actually have an exclusive show we do over there called You Paid for This, which is basically riff tracks of garbage films we watch and guide you through the experience. We did Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector.
That's awesome. I love the name, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, we also have weekly exclusives over on Patreon. For those of you listening to this, if you want to go check us out as well, we're over there at patreon.com/TSC podcast. And every Monday we release a mini-sode that's generally us playing some crazy and deranged game like Would You Rather or something of that nature. So it's definitely something to check out. You learn weird, intimate details about us. It's scary. You'll feel dirty afterwards. You'll drink bleach. So yeah, that's I think going to be about it for us. But Scotty, we end every show. Oh wait. Actually, there's one more thing I gotta ask you. How often do people ask you if your Twitter handle is Scottye Emo?
Every single time I give it out to them. Every time I get Scottye Emo back. God, it sounded like you got shivved. You were just like, all right, we end the show with, oh, wait.
I did. I got shivved by the fact that I almost forgot to ask you that, and I would regret it for the remainder of my existence. Because that was the hot button question that I wanted to nail you with today.
I'm in the hot seat, baby.
Yeah. We're ending it on a high. So, anyways, every episode, back to where I was before my momentary stroke and shivving, we end every episode by making our unsuspecting guests join us in our daily tradition, our weekly tradition of awkwardness, me limping through this. Is we end every episode with a giant bye, but that's not it. Don't worry. I prep you first.
Okay.
I'll give you a demo, because you can't imagine what holler and bye sounds like, so you need the demo.
Oh, I'm so prepped.
Yeah, oh good, I'm so glad. Okay, so that's it for us. All the information you're going to need to get a hold of us, find us, or in any other way, pleasure yourself with the sound of our voice will be in the outro. So that's it for us today. This has been the Total Stickcast. Bye!
Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye!
Bye!
Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye! Bye! Now I'm dancing.
Bye. Okay, awesome.
We did it.
Thank you for joining us on the Total Stickcast. The Total Stickcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. We appreciate your ratings and reviews as they help other people find us and help us to grow. Please take the time to let us know what you think. The Total Stickcast is hosted and produced by Paul Johnson and features Ryan Blair and Terry Savage. You can connect with Paul Johnson directly on Twitter at OffTheLP or at everythingpaul.net. That's everythingpaul.net. You can find the Total Stickcast on Twitter and Facebook at Total Stickcast. You can also reach us by email at TotalStickShow@gmail.com. My name is Larry G. Jones, and this has been the Total Stickcast. Thank you for making us a part of your day.